Hello and very warm welcome to the sessions on Indian economy. We are starting with complete Indian economy syllabus today. This will comprise of syllabus of prelims as well as mains examination. First we have to understand how we will approach to the syllabus, how we will try to study the entire syllabus that is there for us in Indian economy. So first thing we have to understand that why we are studying this subject. See, the day we have decided that we want to become a civil servant or we want to crack this particular exam for the post of IAS or IPS, etc., our goal is to become a civil servant or IAS, IPS, and other services also, right? So, the goal is to become the officer. Now, the day I decided this goal, I have to appear for UPSC Civil Services Examination. UPSC Civil Services Examination. Now, how will I get selected in the examination? First, I have to score in the examination so that I can get rank in the exam. So I have to score in the examination. Just only by appearing in the examination, I will not be getting any post, right? So I have to score, I have to get rank in the examination. Depending upon the rank, there are various posts that is available to us. Now, when I decided to score in the examination, to get rank in the examination, there are stages of the examination where I will be having questions to answer, right? So my score will be because of my answers to the questions that will be asked in the examination. Now, what type of questions? So we have prelims stage, we have main stage, and you can also call that we have interview, also known as personality test. So prelims stage, mains stage, and personality test, right? Or also known as interview, right? These are the things. Now, in prelims, we will be having objective questions. In mains, we will be having descriptive questions, descriptive answers we have to write, right? And in personality test, it is a kind of viva or oral examination, right? Now, we have to understand that whatever rank or score we will have by answering these questions, right? By giving answers to this question. So, we have to answer this question. Now, how we can answer these questions? We can answer these questions by studying. Now, what we have to study? We can answer these questions by studying. So, to study, what we need to have? We need to have content. We need to have content, and we need to have our analytical skills. Analytical skills. Now, when we say content, almost we have so many content available in the market, as well as you can generate content from artificial intelligence using chat gpt, gemini, etc., etc., right? So content is not a problem. Curated content is a problem, right? Correct. We don't have curated content available in the market easily. Whatever is there, that can be there available ocean of content, but we have to be selective with respect to content, right? Because we have limited ability to read, limited ability to revise and retain the information. So our job is to have a curated content. Our job is to have a curated content. Now, when we talk about analytical skills cannot be learned in a day, right? So we will build it gradually over the period of time. During this entire course, our job is to build this analytical skills, right? To build this analytical skills. It is required for all the subjects. As far as economy is concerned, we will be developing this in our entire course duration, right? So curated content, I will be taking care of it, and analytical skills combinedly we will be developing together, right? Now let's understand, when we say we have to answer these questions and these are the curated contents that are required. So what we shall study? Now we will try to understand that what we shall study. So first thing first, to have an examination, we have a kind of syllabus that is given by UPSC. So we have a syllabus that is given by UPSC for civil services examination, right? Now, The problem with the syllabus that we have seen over the period of time is this syllabus is indicative in nature. This syllabus is indicative in nature. Means whatever is there in the syllabus, if we go very objectively with that, we will not be able to have a comprehensive coverage of the syllabus. That means whatever has been given, I will show you the syllabus of prelims as well as mains examination with respect to economy. But please understand, whatever is there in the syllabus, we have to understand the syllabus first, right? After understanding syllabus, because we have limited availability of all the resources, limited availability of reading, limited ability of revising, retaining the information, etc. So when we have limited ability, what our focus is, what kind of things we shall study and what sort of things we should not study. So we have one guiding factor here, and that is the syllabus given by the UPSC, which is indicative in nature. Now, when this syllabus is indicative in nature, our job becomes very important. One job becomes very important, and that job is to understand the syllabus, right? So what we do basically, we take help of two things. One is the syllabus given by the UPSC, and other is the previous year questions. Questions of prelims examination, mains examination, questions of other examination taken by UPSC. For example, we can talk about questions appearing in this engineering services prelims examination, questions appearing in assistant commandant exams, etc. So these questions also, for example, CDS exam. So we can see those questions also, that what is the perception of the UPSC to ask such questions in the examination. What happens then, we by combining these two things, PYQs and indicative syllabus, we prepare our own syllabus. And then we understand that what kind of things we have to read in the examination. Now, when we come to know the topics that we have to study, that there comes two things. One is width of the syllabus and other is depth of the syllabus, right? What topic we have to study, how many topics, what are the different topics that constitute the width of the syllabus, and one particular topic, in how much depth we have to study, that is the depth of the topic or depth of the syllabus, right? So we have to cover width as well as depth of the syllabus. That understanding will come from this analyzing these PYQs and the indicative syllabus. Also, one very important factor that you cannot miss with respect to economy, that is your newspaper and current affairs. If you ask me that what sort of information we should read in current affairs, I will tell you, if you have command over newspaper articles, then no extra material you need for current affairs. If you have command on a newspaper, not only you are reading newspaper, you can read between the lines in the newspaper that what sort of information are there and what are the implications of these information. That means analytical skills, if you can apply to newspaper, there is no other material that you need for preparing current affairs as far as economy is concerned. So these three things, now newspaper articles, the indicative syllabus that has been given by the UPSC, and the PYQs that are available. Now combining these three things together, we will develop our content first, right? And we will try to understand those concepts that will be there in our topics, and then we will try to have analytical skills over that particular topic, right? So these three things are sufficient enough to understand what width we have to cover. For example, new topics will come from newspaper, right? Some new topics. For example, if there is a topic in news, suppose RBI has allowed retail investor to invest in government securities. Now, government securities is a static topic, retail investors is a static topic, RBI is a static topic. But this particular information that RBI has allowed these retail investors to invest in government securities, this becomes a new information. Now this will appear in the newspaper. Now your job is to read that particular article and to have an understanding, to develop an understanding over that particular article. Now if question will come from that particular topic, be it prelims, mains, or if question is asked in interview also, you will be able to answer those questions, right? So one thing we have understood, that the syllabus, newspaper and PYQs combined together will give us the topics that we need to study, right? The topics that we need to study. And by repetitive appearance of the examination, right? Reiteration of information in the newspaper. If a particular topic is continuously in news, that means we have to cover depth also. If a particular information has appeared only once or twice, that means you have to cover only the width. That means you have to incorporate that particular topic in your notebook, in your notes, in your study material. But if a topic is repetitively it is appearing in the newspaper, it is being discussed on social media platforms or maybe other platforms also, and it is related to our syllabus, then we have to cover width of the topic also, right? This is the idea that we can have about syllabus, PYQs and newspaper. If you can talk about newspaper, there are two newspapers that we can go through with, The Hindu or Indian Express, right? Now, when we talk about The Hindu, there is text and context page also, text context page in The Hindu, right? And when we talk about Indian Express, there is explained. When we talk about Indian Express, there is explained page. Indian Express is having explained page. Explained page is like a kind of notes that is available to us, right? The kind of notes we prepare for the exam. Explained page is like that only. Every information is given in a quite detailed manner, like you prepare a note for any particular topic. So these two pages are very important, and combined with the economy page, sometimes economy page also carries important news articles and editorials, right? So economy page, or in The Hindu, if business page is available, so business page, economy page and editorial page, and explained page in Indian Express, text context page in The Hindu. All these pages will be having information related to economy. If it is having, for example, in explain page, there might be some articles on economy, there might be no articles on economy some days also, right? But if there is an article, you need to go through that particular article, right? So these are some pages: text and context page of The Hindu, explained page of Indian Express, economy page of Indian Express, or economy or business page of The Hindu, right? And editorials, if editorials are there with respect to analysis of particular information or particular topic of economy. Now, what topics? When we say we have indicative syllabus, PYQs and newspaper combined together, giving the topics that we need to study. Now, what are the topics? So we need to understand what is the syllabus given by the UPSC for the exam. But before going that, first let's understand what is the weightage of economy subject in prelims examination. As far as prelims is concerned, as you can see, in 2015 there were 17 question, 14, 14, 17, 14. On an average, you can see at least 15 questions will be there from economy. Now see, number of questions may differ depending upon how you analyze that particular question. For example, if certain questions are there which is related to economy, but you classify it differently under current affairs, right? Under current affairs section, you classify one particular question, that particular question may be related to economy. Or for example, some schemes are there. If you classify those schemes under the topic of social justice and empowerment, then you may not be classifying that particular question under economy, right? So classification of questions differ. That is why number of questions may differ person to person, or may differ sources to sources, right? So but on an average, we have 15 questions in the prelims examination. 15 questions simply means 30 marks in your prelims examination, that is there, right, from economy. Now we also have to understand what sort of weightage in main examination. So as we see, Indian economy is part of GS3 paper, where we have environment also, science and technology also, right? But as far as economy is concerned, we will be having somewhere around 7 to 8 questions. We will be having somewhere around 7 to 8 questions, right? GS paper 3 is having a lot many topics covered there, which fall under different subjects, but Indian economic questions will also be there in GS3 paper only, and 7 to 8 questions will be there. Now you are aware that out of these 7-8 questions, some questions will be there for 15 markers, which are of 250 words, right? 250 words questions, and some questions are of 150 words, which is 10 marker questions, right? So 10 marker questions and 15 marker questions. Now the distribution may differ. For example, 15 marker question 4 and 10 marker questions 4. So this is 15 4s are 60 and 60 plus 60 plus 40, that is 100 marks. 100 marks can be there from economy. Or for example, if these are only 7 questions, right? These are only 7 questions, then 7 questions also may have 3 questions here, 4 questions here, or 3 questions here, 4 questions here, like that. So maximum we will be having 100 marks questions in the GS3 paper from economy, right? Also we can say from 7-8 questions, these 7-8 questions, 2 to 3 questions will be compulsorily from the agriculture and food security, right? What kind of question, what kind of forward linkages are there in agriculture, what kind of backward linkages are there in agriculture, we will discuss in a while. But I hope you have understood that economy is a subject which you cannot leave while preparing for your UPSC civil services examination, right? Why? Because this gives you 30 marks in your prelims and almost 100 marks questions in mains examination. So it is better to understand, to put effort, and to have better understanding of this particular subject, right? So this is the talk about what is the utility of the subject, right? How this subject is relevant in our preparation. You cannot say that I am from a humanity background, so this economy is little technical in nature, so I want to avoid economy. No, you cannot avoid this subject. See, as far as any competitive exam is concerned, you cannot leave any subject and you cannot hate any subject, because that subject will be carrying some weightage in the examination. So you have to prepare that particular subject, right? So this is about economy. I have given you a basic idea how it is important as far as marks is concerned. Otherwise, talking about marks in the beginning of the subject is not a good idea, but to have to show the relevance of the subject for the examination, we have to discuss this, right? Now this is about marks. Now let's see what sort of syllabus has been given by the UPSC and why are we saying that it is indicative syllabus. Let's understand this. When we say prelims examination, economic and social development. So what sort of economic development is taking place in the country, social development is taking place in the country, and that is resulting into what? Sustainable development. Now every concept related to economic development, social development, and sustainable development becomes important for us. For example, if we talk about economic development, concepts related to GDP, national income, etc. becomes important for us. For example, the concepts related to sectoral development, development of industries, development in agriculture, development in services sector becomes important to us, right? So sectoral development also becomes important. When we say social development, what kind of healthcare system, healthcare infrastructure development is taking place in the country, what kind of educational facilities development taking place in the country. For example, Ayushman Bharat scheme, so what sort of implication it will be having in the society. So Ayushman Bharat schemes, etc. These are the things that we need to study. Social development, and then sustainable development, considering environment also one of the factor. If your development is causing degradation in the environment, that development is not a sustainable development. Those are the things that we will be studying, right? Now under this, we also have to study poverty, inclusion. Inclusion means nobody should be left behind in the growth process, right? So poverty, inclusion, demographics, what sort of population we are having, right? And demographic dividend, etc. that we can talk about here. And social sector initiatives, right? What kind of initiatives have been taken by the government in social sector? For example, with respect to social security, for example, with respect to employment, etc. Right? So these things we need to study here. Now, current events of national and international importance, this line of the syllabus goes with almost all subjects. For example, it goes with the polity, it goes with the economy, it goes with the culture, etc. everything, right? So this is events of national and international importance, right? I hope you can see that this particular syllabus is indicative, but one thing we have understood, we need to study poverty in detail. We need to study inclusion in detail. We need to study demographics in detail. We need to study social sector initiatives in detail, and we also need to study economic and social developments in detail. Now, when we study these topics, what will be the guiding light for us, which will guide us that what topics we need to study under these chapters. So under these chapters, we will be analyzing what kind of questions have been asked in the examination, what sort of questions are in mains examination and in prelims examination. When we analyze those questions, we come to an understanding that the questions that have been asked in the UPSC are basic in nature and applied in nature. What do we mean by basic and applied? When they are asking about some fact, that is basic question. When they are asking about some concept directly, that is basic concept. But when we say applied concept, what do we mean by applied? That these concept, when it is being applied in Indian economy, in territory of India, then we have some sort of application of that particular topic, right? So head count ratio, for example, when we say a word head count ratio, it means how many poor people are there in the country. How many poor people in country? How many poor people are there in the country? Right? This is head count ratio. Head count ratio means number of poor people divided by total population. So how many people are poor in the country? Number of poor people divided by total population. Number of poor people means number of people living below poverty line. When we say inclusion, now see, this particular topic, direct concept, it is there from the topic of poverty. But when they ask the questions that in mains examination, suppose they ask what are the causes of rural poverty in India and what kind of measures you can take, what measures to be, what measures you suggest to eradicate rural poverty in India, and what initiatives government has recently taken for rural poverty or to address rural poverty. Then we understand one thing, that it is a factual question, it is the question related to some basic idea. But when they are asking about rural or urban poverty and what are the causes for it and what sort of initiatives government has taken and what more can be done to eradicate rural or urban poverty, then we understand that there are more topics that need to be studied, and some applied questions can also be there from this particular topic, right? Same it goes with all the topics here mentioned, right? So I will tell you what sort of information we have derived from the syllabus and from the questions that have been asked by the UPSC. Now let's see, main syllabus is little elaborated syllabus, but again it is also an indicative syllabus. As you can see here, Indian economy and issues related to planning. Now we have understood that in Indian economy, first we have to understand the structure of Indian economy, because first word that they have mentioned is about Indian economy. So we have to understand the structure of the economy. What is the occupational structure of the economy? What is the income structure of the economy, right? So that those things we have to understand first, and then issues related to planning. Issues related to planning. During planning period, what issues we faced and what challenges we faced during all these planning period, and when planning commission was abolished in 2015 and it was replaced by Niti Aayog, then we have to study what are the issues related to planning and mobilization of resources, not only during planning period, planning and mobilization of resources. What do we mean by resources? Resources that is available to us, for example natural resources, for example resources in monetary terms, what is the revenue of the government, what are the income of the people, etc., right? So these are the things. And issues and planning related to growth, development and employment. So we can understand many topics from the first line only, right? We need to understand growth, we need to understand the mobilization of resources, we need to understand development and employment. Issues related to development, planning, and issues related to employment also. Now another topic is inclusive growth and issues arising from it, right? Now we need to understand what is inclusive growth, right? As PM Modi says that sabka saath sabka vikas. So nobody should be left behind the growth process, that is known as what? Inclusive growth. Now what are the challenges we are having to achieve inclusive growth, right? For example, when government announce any particular scheme, right? So we see two things there. We see for example, we see there is inclusion error and exclusion error. Now what do we mean by inclusion error and exclusion error? Just to give you an idea, we have seen over the period of time that we are having a scheme, right? National Food Security Scheme, National Food Security Act. Under National Food Security Act, we have National Food Security Scheme, under which we are getting subsidized food grain ₹1 at ₹1, ₹2 and ₹3 per kg for 5 kg per person, right? So we are getting subsidized food grain. When we are getting subsidized food grain, almost 67% of our population is being covered under this National Food Security Act. Now, do all these 67% population, are they in the need of subsidized food grain? That we have to analyze, right? So for example, this is complete population and these are 67% population who are getting benefit of National Food Security Act. Now we have to understand that whether these 67% or only 40% population are in need of subsidized food grain. That means there can be inclusion error. Inclusion error means there are some people who should not be having or they should not be availing the benefit of this particular program, but they are able to gain the kind of benefit for that particular program, from that particular program. So inclusion error means these people should not be given benefit, but they are getting benefited, right? So this is inclusion error. Exclusion error, the needy people who are in need of this benefit of this particular program, but they are excluded from it, right? Because of any reason, because of documentation or any reason, right? They are not being given the benefit of this particular program. It means they are the needy people. They should get the benefit of this particular program, but they are not getting benefit of this particular program. So it is known as exclusion error. They are excluded. So these people, they are in the need, but these people have been given the benefit and these people have not been given the benefit. They remain excluded. So this is exclusion error. These are the people who should not be availing the benefit of this particular program, but they are getting benefited. This is inclusion error. This is inclusion error. This is exclusion error. So we need to understand when we talk about inclusive growth, when we talk about growth of all, because we have seen this there are many reports about inequality. One of the report that we will be studying in our syllabus, that is Oxfam India report, right? So Oxfam India report also talks about the kind of inequality present in our country, right? So we will see that, but I hope you can understand that there are some schemes, there are some programs in which there is exclusion error as well as inclusion error. So inclusion and exclusion error both, we need to minimize these inclusion and exclusion error. I hope we are able to understand this. Then government budgeting. Now this is standalone topic related to what kind of budget government prepares. So concepts related to budget, right? Concepts related to budget. What are the sources of revenue from where governments earn income, and what are the sources of expenditure? What are the points where government is spending money? So expenditure and revenue of the government. And when budget when budget is tabled in the parliament, you will see in budget is also known as a policy document. Budget is also known as what? A policy document. You will be able to see there are a lot many schemes being announced in the budget. So that is one thing that we need to understand, right? Then comes the agriculture part. Major crops. What is the cropping pattern in various parts of the country? For example, if we talk about seasons, cropping seasons, then we talk about Rabi season, Kharif season, right, and Zaid season. Rabi, Kharif and Zaid. If you don't know all these things, don't worry. When we will delve into the topic, we will be able to understand these things better. But I hope you can understand the cropping patterns we need to understand, and various parts of the country. For example, if we consider West Bengal is having rice in 3 crops of rice in a year. That means in the patterns are different in different part of the country, and different types of irrigation. For example, if we talk about North India, we have this Gangetic plain. We have irrigation from canal irrigation is there, right? Canal irrigation is there. If we talk about South India, we have tank type irrigation, etc. So these things we need to study, different types of irrigation and irrigation system storage. For example, the questions have already been asked from micro irrigation. For example, drip irrigation, sprinklers, etc. that we use, right, to save water also. So drip irrigation, sprinkler irrigation, etc. For example, this per drop more crop, one drop one crop scheme, then per drop more crop scheme, these are there. Then transport and marketing of agriculture. Now it was backward linkages. Before the crop is being harvested. Now it is forward linkage, transport and marketing of agricultural produce. Now agriculture produce is there, who will purchase this, how the transportation will be taken place, and issues and related constraints. So what are the issues in forward and backward linkages? E-technology in the aid of farmers, right? What kind of technologies? For example, drones are also being deployed to help farmers, etc. So those things there. Now issues related to direct and indirect farm subsidies and minimum support price. Minimum support price related to MSP of the crops, and then we have indirect and direct farm subsidies. What subsidies are given to the farmers directly and what indirectly? For example, if we talk about fertilizers, urea bag, etc. So fertilizers, urea bag, etc. These are being given at subsidized rate to the farmers indirectly. Means farmers will be getting at reduced price, but the subsidy amount will be given to the industry, right? So this is how it is, direct and indirect. We will be discussing in detail. I am just giving you an overview that what sort of syllabus is there given by the UPSC examination. Now let's see. This is public distribution. Now we are into food security part, right? So public distribution, PDS, ration shops, example, objectives, functioning, limitation, revamping, and issue of buffer stock and food security. Everything related to public distribution system or food security, and technology, mission, economics of animal rearing also. For example, this is related to allied one of the allied activity of agriculture, that is dairying and poultry. Dairying and poultry, right? Dairying and poultry, right? This is what we have to study. Then comes food processing. What do we mean by food processing? See, agricultural produce is there. Now what things we can make out of it? For example, a mango is there. Now this mango has many usage. Mango can be converted into, for example, if we have many industrial setup is available, then we can convert this mango into mango juice, or with small value addition we can convert this mango into fruit jelly or mango jelly, right? Also, if we can talk about milk, now milk is highly perishable commodities, right? Highly perishable commodity. So milk can be converted into milk powder, or also known as skimmed milk, right? Milk powder, or also known as what? Skimmed milk, etc. So these are related to food processing. Now food processing adds value to the product, right? Agricultural produce, it adds value to that. For example, biscuits made by ragi, etc. So these are also becomes important. And related industries in India, what is the scope and significance, location, upstream and downstream requirements, supply chain management. Means we have to cover food processing in detail. Then we have land reforms in India, right? It was promised since independence. Many initiatives have been taken so far to introduce land reforms, how lands will be distributed to the people. For example, we have a few people who are having many lands under their ownership, and there are landless people also. So we will put a land ceiling on the amount of land one can hold, and we will be distributing the lands that are there for landless people, right? So this is land reforms in India, standalone topic again. Effects of liberalization on the economy, changing in industrial policy and their effects on industrial growth. This is about LPG reforms, liberalization, privatization and globalization, and after that and before that also liberalization has taken place in economy, right? So liberalization as a policy we have to study, not only with respect to LPG reforms of 1991. Before that also liberalization was done in our economy, and after LPG reforms also at many instances liberalization has done. What do we mean by liberalization? Liberalization means when more and more people can participate in the economic activities, that is more and more people, household, firms, etc. can participate in the economy, that is related to liberalization. Then we have to study infrastructure as a topic, right? Energy, port development, road development, airports, railways, etc. and related to investment models. For example, public-private partnerships. So how these models work, right? Build, operate, transfer, or because private sector will be building the project, they will operate and then they will transfer the ownership to the government. That's how it is. So these are there are various investment models that we have to study, right? Then after having analysis of the topics that have been given here and the questions that have been asked in the UPSC exam, what we have done, we have developed a module based coverage of the entire topic that is related for our preparation. For example, microeconomics has not been mentioned anywhere, as you have seen the syllabus, and it has not been mentioned anywhere in the syllabus, right, be it prelims or mains, but we have seen some questions from this particular topic. So we have understood that, okay, fine, this topic has not been mentioned in the syllabus, but the questions are there, right? The questions have been asked from this particular topic, so we need to prepare this topic. Now microeconomics is a very broad subject, right? It is a subject in economy, one of the subject of economics, right? So how much depth we need to study microeconomics. So we have understood that the questions are not very deep, the questions are at surface level. Some concepts we need to study. If we can have a hold on those concepts, that means we can answer the questions in the examination. So concept of microeconomics, the entire syllabus of Indian economy, as we have seen, it is about macroeconomics only. We don't have microeconomics concept in our syllabus, but some basic idea we need to have, and that basic idea we will be covering under this particular topic, right? Once it has been covered under first module, now we will not be studying microeconomics at any point of time, right? So microeconomics, this topic we have included from observing the previous year questions. Then we have national income accounting. In microeconomics, we will be mainly focusing on demand supply, law of demand, law of supply, right? The definitions of demand supply, etc. What are the factors on which demand depends, what are the factors on which supply depends, other than price. Other than price, there are other factors also. So demand supply, equilibrium, market equilibrium, etc. And then we will be studying this production possibility curve, marginal opportunity cost, etc. Some concepts related to microeconomics. Then comes national income accounting. The major topic here will be GDP. So what are the basic concepts required to understand GDP, to analyze GDP? What are the associated concepts of GDP? What are the different variants of GDP calculation or national income calculation that we will be studying here? We will also be studying the kind of criticism related to calculation technique of GDP, right? And why GDP is not enough. And then we will be linking this economic growth with respect to, we will be linking economic growth with inclusive growth, right? Why inclusive growth? Because economic growth is only a quantitative term, and we need to have overall development of standard of living of everyone in the economy. So in that, development should be inclusive in nature. Capacity enhancement, capability enhancement of the people is needed, right? That we will be studying here. Then we will be studying fourth module, that is balance of payment. Here we will be studying about all the exchange rate system that is available, how exchange rate system has evolved in India. So exchange rate, not exchange change, exchange rate, how it has evolved in India, etc. And then we will be studying what is balance of payment, right? Current account, capital account, etc. Then we will be studying here foreign exchange reserve, or for that matter, we will also be studying foreign investment. We will also be studying foreign investment here. And internationalization of rupee. Internationalization, these are few topics that we will be studying. Internationalization of rupee, right? Then fifth and sixth module is related to the economic history of India, right? The story of Indian economic development, Indian economy during planning period, that is we will be studying from 1947 to 1991 here. 1947 to 1991, although the planning has abolished in the year 2015, but we will be studying till 1991 here. And in 1991 economic reforms, 1991, or for that matter 1991 economic crisis also we will be studying in this particular chapter number 5. Then we will be studying LPG reforms, right? After crisis, what sort of reforms have taken place in country, that we will be studying here. Then chapter on inflation, small topic. Chapter on money, right? What inflation means, as we say, price rise, right? So general price rise in the economy with respect to many commodities. So a basket of commodities, 500 to 600 commodities we will be taking, and we will be trying to understand the price rise in that. That is consumer price index, wholesale price index, right? Lot many variants are there from these parameters also. So inflation, then we will be studying money. who can print money, what is the how we calculate what is actual money present in the economy, etc., who are being given the power to print money, and related concepts with money. Then we will embark upon the chapter of monetary policy, right? How RBI controls monetary policy, how RBI increase repo rate, reverse repo rate, what are the tools to control monetary policy, etc., that we will be studying here. Then banking structure of the country, right? For example, this public sector banks, private banks, right? Different types of banks, who are the authority which can control the businesses of these banks, etc., right? And the role played by banks, so what is the economic history of bank in India, etc., that we will be studying here. And then fiscal policy. Fiscal policy means the policy of the government related to money. So one is monetary policy, that is controlled by RBI, right? And then there is a fiscal policy, how government spend their money, how government tax people, right? So entire GST, etc., so entire discussion on taxation, entire discussion on subsidies given by the government, right? And it will also include union budget. It will also include union budget. So we will be discussing the budget that is there, that has already been tabled in the month of February, and when next budget will come, we will also discuss next budget with economic survey also, right? So that will be the our target, to discuss the current budget. When we are discussing, when we are having this discussion, whatever is the current budget, we will be discussing that budget. And then whenever new budget will come, we will have discussion on new budget also, right? Then standalone module on agriculture, industries and services. These are the three sectors of the economy, so we will be having discussion on all these three sectors. We will be combining the discussion with the basic concepts plus applied concepts, and one more thing we will include, that is the discussion of economic survey. Economic survey talks about all these three chapters, so we will be combining discussion of economic survey, the latest economic survey which is available. We will be combining the discussion from that particular survey also. Then poverty, unemployment and inequalities, this will be the one topic. And then energy and infrastructure. As you have seen, we have this energy and infrastructure topic is also mentioned in the syllabus, so we have taken from there. And then what are the investment models, that is public private partnership and black money in the economy, presence of black money, the money that has been accumulated or generated from illegal means. And then international institutions, for example international institutions like World Bank, IMF, Asian Development Bank, etc., right? So there are Asian Development Bank, etc., so many other institutions. So we will be discussing few international institutions also. And then international trade. So in trade, first we will be discussing WTO and what are the different trade agreements, regional trade agreements, etc., that we will be discussing. Regional, some bilateral also. The trade war, as you see, between the US is imposing tariff on almost on many countries, so we will be discussing those things here in international trade. And then comes the financial market. Financial market is only mostly related to prelims examination, not the topic of mains examination, but there are various terms which we need to know. So financial market we will be studying related to stock market, etc., right? That those things we will be studying here, right? So this will complete the discussion of entire content that is needed. Now from where we need to read this, right? So whenever we will be discussing any particular module, you will be having two things available. One is a handwritten handout. So those handouts have been written by me only, right? So handwritten handout, that this is not AI generated content, right? Handwritten handout for the topics which will be there in the syllabus and in the module. And then you will be having additional handout as well. Now additional handout from some discussion from newspaper article, for example, and some discussion from any particular book that is needed. So additional handout will also be there. Additional handout and handwritten handouts. Handwritten handouts will be like notes. Like when I'm discussing, I'm not giving you any time to write because it is an online interaction. So whatever discussion I'm doing here, I will not be giving you time to write. that will result into time wastage. You can have a running note, so you can write as I'm writing, but when it comes to reading, having a lectures notes, that will be handwritten notes. For example, it will be like you have sat in the class and you have written the notes, right? You have taken down the notes, so it will be like this, handwritten notes. Then additional notes means you need to study some other schemes that is related to it, and some other global example, national example, some example related to a particular region. So if those things are there, we will be having some additional handouts also, right? This will be our content, right? This will be our content, and understanding we will be doing in class. Development of analytical skills, etc., will be done in the class, and you will be having these two study material, right? Now, what more we need to study? The question of resources that we need to follow. So class handouts are there. This board work will be exported and it will be also made available to you, right? Then we have NCERTs. So class 11 and class 2. Class 11 NCERT we have Indian economic development, right? And class 12th NCERT we have macroeconomics. This particular NCERT, class 12th NCERT on macroeconomics is having little difficult language. So if you find it difficult, or for that matter every equation that has been given or graphs have been given, those graphs or equation you can avoid. That is of not much use to us. But if you find this book difficult, then you can refer Tamil Nadu State Book. Tamil Nadu State Book on macroeconomics. Tamil Nadu State Book on macro. As I have already told you, micro economics is not that much in our syllabus. So macroeconomics, right? Macroeconomics, Tamil Nadu State Book also you can study, right? That book is having easy language. Also, it has more inclined towards the syllabus that we are having. So this book you can study in place of this, right? Then newspaper, I have already told you, Indian Express, The Hindu, right? This is more than enough. And the pages also, economic page, business page in The Hindu, economy page in Indian Express, text context if it is having article from Indian economy, or for that matter economic perspective is there, that you can study, right? And economic survey and union budget, these things we will be covering in the class itself, right? So, and if you feel left out, like we say FOMO, fear of missing out, then you can take any one reference book, any one reference book of your choice, right? Any one reference book of your choice. I will not take name, but any one reference book you can take to just see whether we have covered all those topics that are there in the book or not, right? So this will be the resources. So in the next class we will be starting with our first module. I hope you will enjoy this journey. You will learn a lot. We will be having discussion. We will also be having live doubt and discussion sessions as well. So see you there. Take care. Bye bye. Thank you very much.